Let's kick things off with one of the most beloved games of all time, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. Released on the Nintendo 64 in 1998, this game redefined what it meant to play an action-adventure game in 3D. You step into the shoes of Link, tasked with saving the Kingdom of Hyrule from the evil Ganon. The world feels alive and immersive, with dungeons that are intricately designed and puzzles that challenge you at every turn. From learning new songs on the ocarina to mastering time travel mechanics, the sense of progression is unmatched. Whether you're battling through the Water Temple or exploring the vast open fields of Hyrule, Ocarina of Time is a classic that set the gold standard for 3D gaming. If it's been a while since you played this masterpiece, it's time to rediscover the magic. Next, we have Super Mario 64, another revolutionary title for the Nintendo 64. Released in 1996, Super Mario 64 was Mario's first foray into 3D gaming, and it didn't disappoint. It brought open-world exploration to platformers in a way no one had ever seen before. The game introduces you to Peach's Castle, a hub world filled with paintings that act as portals to various levels. Whether it's running through Bob-omb Battlefield, flying through the skies in Wing Mario form, or swimming through Jolly Roger Bay, each level feels distinct and filled with secrets. Super Mario 64 is a game that still holds up remarkably well, thanks to its tight controls and clever level design. It's easy to forget how groundbreaking it was, but this is one game you'll never regret revisiting. Street Fighter II is another game that took the world by storm. Released in arcades in 1991, this iconic fighting game defined the genre. The cast of characters is unforgettable, from the likes of Ryu and Ken to Chun-Li and Blanca, each with their own unique fighting styles and special moves. Street Fighter II introduced the concept of combos, revolutionizing how fighting games were played. It became a staple of both arcades and home consoles, providing endless hours of competitive fun. The gameplay is fast-paced and demands precision, making each match feel like a high-stakes duel. If you're a fan of fighting games, it's hard to forget the impact Street Fighter II had on the genre. And it's definitely worth revisiting for a trip down memory lane. Let's not forget the atmospheric brilliance of Metroid Prime, a game that took the Metroid series into 3D while retaining its exploration-heavy sci-fi roots. Released on the GameCube in 2002, Metroid Prime places you in the iconic power suit of Samus Aran as you explore the alien world of Talon 4. The game is a masterclass in level design, with interconnected areas that encourage backtracking once you've acquired new upgrades, like the Morph Ball or Grapple Beam. The shift to a first-person perspective could have been a gamble, but it paid off in spades, making the alien environments feel even more immersive. The eerie atmosphere, isolation, and sense of discovery are at the core of the experience. Metroid Prime is a gem that's easy to forget in today's landscape of action-heavy shooters, but it's a classic that every gamer should experience again. Speaking of iconic Zelda games, The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is another title that helped define the action-adventure genre. Released for the SNES in 1991, A Link to the Past brought a more complex story and dual-world mechanic to the series, allowing players to switch between the light world and the dark world. The game's overworld is filled with secrets, dungeons, and enemies that challenge you at every turn. With its memorable bosses, clever puzzles, and a sprawling world that begged to be explored, A Link to the Past became an instant classic. The game's top-down perspective and emphasis on exploration influenced countless other titles, and even today, it holds up as one of the greatest 2D games ever made. Let's move on to a strategy classic that some may have forgotten, Advance Wars. This turn-based tactical strategy game series, first released on the Game Boy Advance in 2001, is known for its addictive grid-based combat and charming art style. You control various military units like tanks, infantry, and aircraft, moving them across a battlefield to outmaneuver your opponent. What makes Advance Wars so engaging is its balance of simplicity and depth. It's easy to pick up, but offers layers of strategy as you manage resources, terrain, and unit placement. The story mode is packed with challenging missions, and the multiplayer mode is where the game really shines. The series might not be as widely remembered as some others, but its blend of tactical depth and accessibility makes it a true classic. Another strategy gem worth revisiting is Fire Emblem. First released in Japan in 1990, the Fire Emblem series has grown into one of the most respected tactical RPG franchises in the world. For many players in the West, their first experience with the series came through Fire Emblem Blazing Sword on the Game Boy Advance in 2003. The game introduced players to the turn-based strategy and permadeath mechanics that the series is famous for. The cast of characters is large and diverse, and the tactical depth is unparalleled, with each battle requiring careful planning and strategy. The permadeath mechanic means that every decision matters, and losing a character is a permanent setback. It's a high-stakes, emotionally engaging experience that keeps you invested in every battle. Whether you've played it before or are new to the series, Fire Emblem is a strategy game that's well worth your time. For sports fans, few games can rival the nostalgic fun of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. Released in 1999, this skateboarding game became a cultural phenomenon, combining fluid controls with an amazing soundtrack. Players could perform insane tricks, string together combos, and explore levels like the iconic warehouse, school, and Venice Beach. The game's sense of freedom, combined with its easy-to-learn but hard-to-master mechanics, made it addictive. Whether you were perfecting your high scores or unlocking secret characters like Officer Dick, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was a game that defined a generation of gamers. If you haven't played it in a while, now's the perfect time to dust off your board and hit the halfpipe. Let's not forget The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, one of the more whimsical and unique entries in the Zelda franchise. Originally released for the Game Boy in 1993, Link's Awakening takes place on the mysterious island of Koholint, far removed from the usual setting of Hyrule. The game's quirky characters, dreamlike narrative, and inventive puzzles set it apart from other Zelda titles. Though it was released on a handheld system, Link's Awakening is packed with depth and challenge. The dungeons are filled with clever puzzles, and the story has a dreamlike quality that keeps you guessing until the end. The recent remake on the Nintendo Switch gave this classic a fresh coat of paint, but the original still holds a special place in gaming history. If you've forgotten this gem, now's a great time to relive Link's strangest adventure. Now, we move on to Metal Gear Solid, the game that put stealth action on the map. Released for the PlayStation in 1998, Metal Gear Solid follows the story of Solid Snake, a retired soldier pulled back into action to stop a nuclear threat. The game revolutionized the stealth genre, introducing mechanics like sneaking, hiding, and enemy alert systems that have since become staples of the genre. The storytelling is cinematic, with plot twists, complex characters, and a deep political narrative that explores themes of war, power, and identity. Metal Gear Solid is not only a gameplay masterpiece, but also a narrative one, blending cutscenes and gameplay seamlessly. If you've forgotten about this game, it's time to revisit the unforgettable world of Solid Snake.
You got the card keys from Baker?
Card keys? You mean this?
Where are the others? There should be 3 keys.
For platforming fans, Donkey Kong Country is a game that can't be ignored. Released for the SNES in 1994, Donkey Kong Country wowed players with its groundbreaking pre-rendered 3D graphics and tight platforming gameplay. You control Donkey Kong and his sidekick, Diddy Kong, as they set out to retrieve their stolen banana hoard from the villainous King K. Rool. The game's levels are filled with secrets, hidden bonuses, and a wide variety of environments, from jungles to icy mountains. The music, composed by David Wise, is unforgettable and perfectly complements the game's atmosphere. Whether you're dodging obstacles in a minecart or bouncing off enemies with expert timing, Donkey Kong Country remains one of the best platformers of the 16-bit era. Another RPG that deserves to be on this list is Chrono Trigger. Released for the SNES in 1995, this time-traveling RPG is widely regarded as one of the best games ever made. With its engaging story, memorable characters, and innovative battle system, Chrono Trigger has left an indelible mark on the RPG genre. The game's story spans multiple eras, from prehistoric times to a dystopian future, and your actions in one time period can affect events in another. The battle system is a mix of traditional turn-based combat and real-time mechanics, keeping the action dynamic and engaging. The game also features multiple endings, adding to its replay value. Chrono Trigger is an RPG that still holds up today, and if you've forgotten about it, it's time to take another journey through time. Next is Earthbound, a quirky RPG released for the SNES in 1994. Unlike most RPGs of its time, Earthbound is set in a contemporary world, following a young boy named Ness as he embarks on a quest to save the world from an alien threat. The game is known for its offbeat humor, unique visual style, and unconventional approach to RPG tropes. Instead of swords and shields, you'll be using baseball bats and yo-yos, and instead of traditional fantasy settings, you'll be exploring suburbs, department stores, and arcades. Earthbound is a charming, weird, and unforgettable experience that stands out from other RPGs of the era. Its humor and heart make it a game that's easy to forget but impossible to put down once you start playing again. Moving on, we have Final Fantasy VII, the game that introduced countless players to the world of RPGs. Released for the PlayStation in 1997, Final Fantasy VII follows the story of Cloudstrife, a mercenary caught up in a battle to save the planet from the megacorporation Shinra and the villainous Sephiroth. The game's story is filled with twists and turns, memorable characters, and moments of heartbreak. The turn-based combat is engaging, with the materia system offering a deep layer of customization for your party. The game's massive world and epic narrative make it one of the most iconic RPGs of all time. If you haven't played Final Fantasy VII in years, now is the perfect time to revisit this classic. Let's talk about Shadowgate, a lesser-known but classic point-and-click adventure game that was first released in 1887 for the Apple Macintosh. Later ported to the NES, Shadowgate places you in a mysterious castle filled with traps, puzzles, and monsters. The game is known for its challenging puzzles and dark atmosphere, as well as its punishing difficulty. Death is always just a wrong move away. While Shadowgate may not have the same level of recognition as other games on this list, it's a unique and memorable experience for fans of old-school adventure games.